Welcome, everyone. Hi, Keith.
Hi there, Nikki. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us again. David will be starting his presentation shortly, but yeah, I'll get right into the introduction. So yeah, greetings all, and as always, wonderful to have so many of you joining us again this week for another of our Dream Destination webinars. It was just a few weeks ago that we were last in Antarctica with Adam Walleyn, and we're excited to be going back again, this time with our special guest from Quark Expeditions, David Tanguay. Antarctica is certainly one of the most awe-inspiring places on our planet, and both Nikki and I are really looking forward to today's presentation. As always, we love to field your questions and enjoy hearing your feedback. For this, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screens or the chat function. Right, on to Antarctica. We're all well aware that for many of you, Antarctica is the ultimate trip, the final continent, the holy grail of tours. Today, David's going to dive into Antarctica from a slightly different perspective as he gives some real insight into what expedition cruising is all about. He'll be tackling some of the experiences you can expect, both on and off the ship, how the expedition works, what to expect on arrival and while you're on the ocean diamond, with a focus as well on the amenities, the food, the lectures, zodiacs, and so much more. So David's been part of the Quark Expeditions sales team since 2012, has always had a passion for travel and for learning from these experiences. After graduating from the University of Montreal's business school, David moved to China for a year to work for Starwood Hotels and Resorts. On returning to Canada, he moved to Toronto and found Quark Expeditions, which offered him the opportunity to discover a whole new world of travel destinations. These were the incredible polar regions to which David has had the pleasure of traveling to several times and is excited to share his knowledge with all of you today. For those of you who are not aware yet, Rockjumper will be partnering with Quark for a very special Antarctica charter in November 2021, as well as a variety of other polar trips in forthcoming years. Of additional interest, and also worth noting, is that Quark was the first company to operate the inaugural commercial expedition to the North Pole in 1991, a circumnavigation as well of the Antarctic continent in 1992, and a circumnavigation of the Arctic ice sheet in 1993. All said, we are very excited about the partnership with Quark, and we trust that you will enjoy today's presentation. On that note, it's over to you, David.
Thank you very much, Keith. And I'm super excited today to be talking about expedition cruises in Antarctica with all of you. This is something that we obviously are very passionate, and to share this experience that all of you could be experiencing next year or any future expeditions that you're thinking of. This is something that I love talking about. And of course, if you have any questions at the end, would love to take the time to answer any of your questions. I'm just going to be sharing my screen right now. So today's presentation, just like what Keith mentioned, what I would love to do is to really go and explain to you what is the expedition cruise experience, because it is definitely not the same as any other type of cruises happening in the world right now. So we will definitely talk about this. We will talk a little bit about Quark, who we are. We'll talk about what are the important aspects about an expedition cruise. We'll talk about the arrival in Ushuaia. We will talk about the ship. And finally, we'll talk about the Antarctic experience. But first, what I always like to mention and re-emphasize on is that this is an expedition cruise experience. It is not just a cruise where you're going to be on a ship, navigating next to an iceberg, maybe looking at a penguin from far away, and then, you know, continuing on and just stay on the ship. What we want to provide as an experience with Rockjumper is to make sure that every single day when you're going to be in Antarctica, when you're going to be in the Falklands or in South Georgia, you will be going outside of the ship as many times as possible. What is an expedition for us? It is a journey or a voyage undertaken by a group of people with a particular purpose, especially that of exploration, scientific research, or so for us, obviously not for our purpose, but what is an expedition for us? It is an exploration. It is an occasion or an opportunity to learn about the destination and to understand some of the research that are being done down there, and to share those results with you and become eventually polar ambassadors. So the main, I would say, key difference between a regular cruise versus an expedition cruise is that the expedition cruise is really emphasized on the destination. So as any other cruise, you obviously have an on-ship experience where you're going to be doing many different things on board the ship. And we will definitely go into the ship details later on in the presentation. But for sure, during your expedition cruise, you will have free time to walk around the ship, to experience some of the amenities that are offered on the vessel. You will have a great opportunity to, eat some amazing food, to sit down, to communicate with other passengers, and to really have a great time. But in addition to that, every single day, what we will do is we will get off the ship and we will explore different locations of the regions that we will explore. The one thing that I love to point out about expedition cruises is that if you look at a map, and I will show you a map in a few seconds, when normally you look at a cruise, you can easily see that, for example, on day 1, this is where the ship is going to stop. On day 2, this is where it's going to stop. Day 3, day 4. On an expedition cruise, that's the beauty of it, is that we have a plan. We know what is our objective. We know what is our goal. We know what we want to show you during the expedition. But of course, when you explore regions like the Falklands, like South Georgia, like Antarctica, where there's so many other variables to take into consideration, including ice condition, including weather condition, I always say expect the unexpected. And this is why it is important to understand that the off-ship experience, what's amazing about it is that every day it's a surprise. We might be navigating the waters in South Georgia and suddenly we see a pond of whales, or the same thing in Antarctica. So that's why the off-ship experience is very, very important when it comes to an expedition cruise. Who is Quark Expeditions? Who is this partner that Rock Jumper has chosen to work with for their expeditions in Antarctica? Well, Quark Expeditions, like Keith mentioned previously, we are polar specialists. We started operating in the polar regions in 1991 by going to the North Pole. And then over the years, we have done several expeditions, including circumnavigating the Antarctic continent, circumnavigating the Arctic ice sheet as well, and so on. So we definitely love the polar regions. It is part of our DNA. It is our passion. And we're super, super excited and proud to be working with a birding specialist such as Rock Jumper. And one thing that for us, we take a lot of pride in is the polar expert who are traveling with us in the polar regions. For Quark Expeditions, one of the things that we know that is very important to provide the best experience possible for passengers is to have the best guide possible on board every expedition that we operate in the Arctic or in Antarctica. And over the last 30 years of experience, we've obviously had the occasion to work with so many different polar experts who many of them have traveled into Antarctica for several years, if not since the very beginning for some of them. We have people who have done scientific research about specific topics that are related to Antarctica. We have PhDs, doctorate graduates who are there to teach their passion to our passengers. We have specialists like marine biologists, historian, environmental lawyers, and believe it or not, even a penguinologist who are traveling with us to, again, inform our passengers of how important and how unique it is to be traveling into Arctic or Antarctica. And just to show you how important it is for us to work and have the best guides possible on our expedition, this is a very quick summary here of all the different skills that we look into when we have our guides on board. It's not just about somebody who can talk, about, for example, the penguins or the glaciology. No, we look at people who have various different type of skills, going from leadership, from crisis management, to safety, to obviously language and presentation skills as well. So it is definitely something that we take seriously. As you can imagine, we receive tons of interest from many people around the world who wants to lead expeditions or be part of our expedition. But for us, we are looking for the best, because we want to provide the best to you when you travel with us and to Rock Jumper in Antarctica. The one thing for us that is also very, very important, and especially for expedition cruising, it is health and safety. And during the time that we are in right now, there's I don't think there could be any better time to talk about health and safety. Since the very beginning of our expeditions in the polar regions, health and safety has been our #1 priority to provide any passengers who come with us in the polar region. So providing clean expedition ships, providing a very healthy expedition environment, providing obviously healthy staff who can also provide different specialties as well, and make sure that they don't jeopardize the safety of our passengers. This is something that we are very, very proud to provide to any of the passengers traveling with us to the polar regions. We also have worked with external accredited safety organizations, and we have got many different certifications to make sure that our safety program and our operational and logistic steps are as safe as possible. And the reason why we do that is because, like I said previously, when you travel in Antarctica, when you travel in the Arctic, ice conditions and weather conditions vary a lot. And we need to make sure that our polar experts who are traveling with you are able to make the best decision possible and to not jeopardize your safety. At the end of the day, for us, what we want is we want you to immerse in nature. When we go to the polar regions or when we go to the Arctic, we understand how very unique and how special it is for you to experience. It is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and we want to make sure that it is going to be the most memorable one that you will have and remember for the rest of your life. So for us to spend a lot of time outside of the ship, once again, it is our key priority when it comes to the experience. To be able to sit down and watch penguins walk around you, to be able to be on the Zodiac and to see a pond of whales, or to see a leopard seal laying on an iceberg. That's what we want to provide to you. And our expedition guides, along with Rock Jumpers guides, we will be there to provide so much information to you and to make sure that you understand, why is the penguin acting this way, or why this type of whale is here at this time of the year, and also explain to you the cycle of the wildlife at this time of the year. Now, one question that you may have about expedition cruising in Antarctica is, am I the right person, or is it going to be physically very challenging for me? Well, everybody can go to the polar regions. So in the last 30 years of operations, we have operated and brought people to the polar regions from people from all around the world. And we have many different type of profiles of people who want to travel with us in the polar regions. People who are checklisters, people who have traveled everywhere around the world and they want to touch their 7th continent because it is part of their bucket list. We have people who are definitely more fitting into the learners profile, who like to learn about the destination that they visit. We have the escapists, the people who like to go off the beaten path. And finally, the adventurers are also definitely very common to travel in Antarctica by doing many different type of activities like hiking, kayaking, and so on. But just to show you how anybody can travel to the polar regions, this is a picture of me right now in Antarctica. Obviously very happy to be there. And as you can see on my right, there is a gentleman, and believe it or not, this gentleman was 99 years old. Obviously, this is not something very common. This is not something that happens every expedition, but the average, I would say the majority of our passengers who travel with us in the polar regions are between 55 to 75 years old. So there is definitely no physical requirements to be part of an expedition cruise, as long as you're able to walk independently, as long as you're able to get on the Zodiac, then there is definitely no problem at all. We do not push anybody to go at any rhythm. If you want to just sit down, relax, and enjoy the Antarctica experience, then there is no problem. If you want to go hiking and maybe walk around a little bit with our expedition guides, then we will offer those opportunities as well. But at the end of the day, what we want is we want everybody, or as many people as possible, to come and live this very unique experience that Antarctica has to offer to anyone from around the world. Another question that you probably are wondering is, what should I bring to an expedition in Antarctica? And in order to answer this question, I'm going to let the video speak for itself. And just going to let the video here work. Oops, sorry. Perfect.
Hi, I'm Jamie, and I'm the merchandise. Hi, I'm Jamie, and I'm the merchandise coordinator here at Quark Expeditions. Today we're going to be answering one of your most popular questions: what to wear in your expedition down to the polar regions. Now you're ready for a safe and warm voyage. Have a good time.
Perfect. So in regards to what you should be bringing to your expedition in Antarctica, as you saw in this very quick clip, you don't need to bring a big jacket or a pair of boots. And the beauty of that is because we, Quark Expeditions and Rock Jumper, will provide you a parka on your expedition. So as soon as you will board the vessel, there will be a parka provided to you in your cabin. And also we will provide you the pair of boots, which are phenomenal. These boots are called muck boots, very comfortable, also waterproof, and they go up to your knee. So that way, once you get off the Zodiac, when we land to the Antarctic continent, you do not get wet and obviously do not get cold. So just to recap, basically what you need to bring in the Antarctica, you need to bring as many layers as possible, base layers, long johns as well, warm socks, mitts, a hat. Very, very important. If you have a sensitive skin like me, please bring sunscreen, which is super important. You're constantly surrounded by ice and water, so the reflection of the light on your skin, it may not feel that way, but it's you're always exposed to UV rays from the sun. And of course, sunglasses. And if you are a photographer, passionate, then of course bring your camera, bring your tripod, because for sure you will have many opportunities to take incredible pictures during your expedition. So let's talk a little bit about your experience when you're going to come to Antarctica with us. And of course, the very first stop is Ushuaia, Tierra del Fuego in Argentina. So Ushuaia is a very small community that is located at the very bottom of Argentina. It is actually the southernmost city in the world. And this is where all the expeditions in Antarctica are starting from. So you will be landing in Ushuaia anytime during the day. And then once you arrive in Ushuaia, once you land in Ushuaia, you will be picking up your luggage from the luggage disposal, and then you will meet one of our ground staff member who lives in Ushuaia to be transferred to your hotel for the first night. So we will bring you to your hotel, and then on that very first night, we will be doing a group briefing. But just before we talk about the group briefing, I just want to show you a quick map of Ushuaia. So Ushuaia is a very small town. It's definitely very easy to walk around, very safe as well. Very great because it gives you an opportunity to learn a little bit about the unique culture of Tierra del Fuego and also the Ushuaia community. It is a community that is surrounded by beautiful mountains, and there is actually a huge national park located on the western side of the community that if you want to take the time and visit, I strongly invite you to do so. So the hotels will be located in the main square of Ushuaia, so you will be definitely well located and at proximity of restaurants, cafes, or any gear shops that you would like to buy souvenirs or last minute pieces of clothing that you may have left behind or forgotten to bring with you for your expedition in Antarctica. So like I've mentioned, at around 5 p.m. on the arrival day in Ushuaia, we will do a group briefing. And this briefing is very important and actually mandatory for you to attend. And the reason why is because we will explain to you how embarkation will be proceeded the following day. Okay, so we will distribute luggage tags, which of course you will, tag along to your luggage. We will explain to you that in the next morning, we will require you to bring your luggage to the lobby of the hotel because we will then take your luggage and bring to the ship prior for you to embark the ship. Of course, if there's anything you want to keep with yourself, including passport, wallet, please have a little backpack with you so that you can carry it while you're still walking around Ushuaia. This will also be a great opportunity for you to ask any questions about Ushuaia or any recommendation. My biggest recommendation, if you are a foodie like me, if you like to experience local food, definitely you want to try the local crab, or as they call it in Ushuaia, centosha. So centosha is a very big king crab that is very unique in that region. And there is an amazing restaurant called El Viejo Marino that I highly recommend for you to go if you want to experience the best crab of your life. Then back to the embarkation process at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We will ask you to be at your hotel because then we will have a transfer bringing you from your hotel to the pier where you will embark the ship. All right. And now the adventure starts. And the first thing that, of course, you will do when you embark the ship is to explore the ship. It'll be your little familiarization time where you will be walking around the decks and see the different public spaces. So I'm super happy to introduce you prior to your expedition, the Ocean Diamond, which is the ship that Rock Jumper and Quark will be operating for your expedition in the Falklands, in South Georgia, and Antarctica. The Ocean Diamond is a super yacht type of vessel. It is a vessel that has a classification of 1D in regards to their hull towards the ice. It is a vessel that we have been using now for many, many years into Antarctica. And it is actually the vessel that I've been traveling on when I went to Antarctica several times. It is a great ship for many reasons. It has stabilizers. So when we actually travel through open water navigation, it is a very stable ship. So you feel less the motion of the ship compared to other vessels. We also have a very, very nice panoramic lounge that I will show you in a few minutes. We also have lots of public space and also the opportunity to have a walk around deck so that you can have access to the ship by walking around side and to take beautiful pictures, of course, of the icebergs or any wildlife that we would encounter during the expedition. Okay. So the ship has 5 or 6 different decks, but you will have access to 5 decks. So starting from the lower deck, going all the way to the observation deck. So all the different public spaces are separated or divided into these different decks. And the first, the first place that you will be spending quite a few times is, of course, the restaurant. And the restaurant is located on the lower deck. And the great thing about the restaurant is that it can actually accommodate everybody at the same time. So you don't need to make a reservation, but if you do like to sit at a very specific place, our team who is in the restaurant can definitely make sure that you have your table reserved, or if you like to sit with the same people all the time, there's definitely some flexibility. We also have a second restaurant located on the main deck, which actually also offers the opportunity to have larger windows. So you can actually eat on the main deck and have the opportunity to have a beautiful view outside, seeing some icebergs, potentially some wildlife as well, which is quite frequent, honestly, during an expedition. So we have 2 locations where you can enjoy some great food. For those of you who like to exercise every day or want to exercise during your expedition, we will have a gym available for you. And as you can see here on the picture, we have several machines or different material that you can use to exercise, from free weights to cardio machines to weightlifting. So we have all the main gym material and accessories for you to use during your expedition in Antarctica. What's also great is that if you like to have some quiet time and also would like to read more about Antarctica or the Falklands or South Georgia, we also have a nice library open 24 hours to our passengers, where you can, spend some time in a quiet room and to read different books that we have available for you. So as you can see here in the pictures, there are different books available that you can also bring back to your cabin if you want to read it in your cabin. But please, at the end of the expedition, our expedition team will request that you make sure that you bring back those books back in the library. Okay, it's not shown here on the picture as well, but at the very back of the library, there will be a computer as well available for anyone to use. So this computer will be primarily used for you to send emails, for example, or to maybe upload some of your images, because we have an imaging sharing program for the expedition where everybody share their images or the images that they want to share so that we can actually share those images at the end of the expedition to all the passengers. Okay. In regards to Wi-Fi or to the internet, we do have internet available on the expedition, which is basically based on your data usage. So it is not something that it's a set price. So you basically have to pre-purchase the data depending on how much you want to use. Please bear in mind that the Wi-Fi signal is obviously not the same as you would have at home. You are in a remote location. You are in a place that there's very little signal. So the internet is primarily used for you to use for communication, to basically send an email to your family or friends and make sure that they know that you are okay, or for social media as well. This is a great picture here of our lecture theater, and every single day you will definitely spend some time here learning about the different topics that will be presented to you throughout the entire expedition. This is where the rock jumper guides and also some of the Quark guides will present to you about the Falklands, about South Georgia, about the king penguins, about the albatross, about Antarctica, about the history. So every single day, we will invite you to the lecture theater. And as you can see, there's lots of room. It's a very comfortable space as well. Typically, we also offer some canapes. There's always food served whilst you are attending these presentations. But every single day, you will be invited to come to these presentations and to learn more about the different topics that will be presented to you. Speaking of another place that you will spend a lot of time, this is one of my favorite places on the Ocean Diamond, which is the Panoramic Observation Lounge. This is actually located on the very top deck that is called the observation deck. And it is a 180-degree view that you would have in front of the bow. So when we are cruising, for example, in South Georgia or in Antarctica or in the Falklands, obviously the scenery that you will see throughout this journey will be totally mind-blowing or spectacular. And a great way to take advantage of these views is to be on the observation deck or to be on the bow. We typically open the bow throughout the entire expedition, and then you can stand in front of the bow and really take some time to see the beautiful view in front of you and really absorb this very unique privilege that you have to be traveling in these regions of the world. So this space that is called the Observation Lounge is also open 24 hours. And if you are a small group of individuals traveling together, you can definitely go there, have a drink, and spend some time all together as well. On the Ocean Diamond, we also have a polar boutique where we have several items to be purchased, from last-minute gears to souvenirs to jewelry to maps to books, different badges as well, or photography accessories. We have lots and lots of variety available for you to purchase if you are interested, of course. So if you are interested, the Polar Boutique will be open pretty much every day. The Polar Boutique manager will make announcements during the expedition to invite you, if you are interested, to look at the merchandise. Another very important location is also the main lounge, where there will be a almost 24-hour service bar offered. So after your morning activity or afternoon activity, there will be always 24-hour coffee and tea available. But at the same time, if you want to have a beer or a glass of wine or any daily suggested cocktails, our bartenders will be there to provide you those drinks. Typically speaking, the bar closes at around 11 p.m. But speaking from experience, most people go to bed fairly early after a great day of activities. And most people also want to be top shape for the following day. So typically speaking, people go to bed at around 9 p.m. The main lounge is also a great location for the evening activities. Basically, what we do is our expedition team, they host what we call bar talks, where some of them, including the rock jumper guides, will be sharing some of their experiences that they had in the past, traveling either to Antarctica or South Georgia or the Falklands. They will share stories, they will share past expedition experiences. So it's a really great moment to learn a little bit more about the people who you will be traveling with. And it's also an opportunity to play some games. There will be many different interactive games offered by the expedition team in the main lounge as well. So overall, just to recap, what is the on-ship experience that will be offered to you? So on a daily basis, the expedition team from Rock Jumper and Quark will be offering some daily briefings and recaps. So at the end of every day's expedition, so after the afternoon activity, once everybody is back on the vessel, the expedition guides will be presenting daily recaps, basically providing more information about what has been observed during the day. So for example, after the day of being in South Georgia, where in St. Andrews Bay, where people saw the largest colony of king penguins in the world, the marine biologists will do a little bit of a recap talking about the king penguins, about their cycle, and providing more information about them. So this is a really good example of a daily recap, but every single day we do recaps. And in addition to that, we do also presentations touching, again, different topics related to the destination we're visiting. But on top of that, the expedition guides, they're constantly available to talk with the passengers. Many expedition guides will be on the bridge, and let me remind you that we will be traveling with an open bridge policy. So what I mean by open bridge policy is that the bridge will be open to the public. So if you are very keen to see the bridge, to see the captain working with the expedition leader on deciding where to go, or to see the ship tracking map as well with the different maps, and so the bridge will be available for you. There will be times though that the bridge will be closed, and that's of course when the ship needs to be doing some very important maneuvers. So the captain needs to be very focused with the rest of the crew. But other than that, the bridge will definitely be open. But back to the expedition team will be on the bow. They will be walking around the ship. They will be talking and interacting with you to make sure that, if, for example, we see a pond of whales in the water, or if we see different type of penguins on an iceberg, they are there to assist you and to help you understand what you're actually observing during that moment. And speaking of a moment, what you're looking at right now is a really great example of what could happen or what will happen on your expedition with us in Antarctica. It is very, very common that nature arises all of a sudden to either a whale or seals or penguins while the ship is navigating from point A to point B. What I really love about an expedition cruise in Antarctica is that you have many, many opportunities also to connect with all the other passengers. It's very unique to travel on a very small ship like the Ocean Diamond, especially when you travel to a remote location like Antarctica, because you really have that sensation of disconnecting from the rest of the world. You are on board a micro society of a group of less than 200 people, and you're about to share a very powerful experience that will be definitely the most memorable one in your life. You will create strong relationships with other passengers. You will discover expedition team members who have incredible lives or had incredible experiences, and at a very young age, which is very, very, inspiring. Every expedition that I've done in Antarctica or in the Arctic, and when I see these guides sharing their passion to you, and sharing also their past experiences, I always keep telling myself, wow, I feel like I haven't done anything in my life. So it's really inspiring to see these polar experts who have been involved in so many different things and sharing their excitement and passion for birds, for glaciology, for anything that is related to the polar regions. It's really, really inspiring. And I know that you will feel the same way when you travel with them in Antarctica. I just want to circle back about food, because I know food is definitely something important as well. The one thing I want to let you know about food is that do not worry about the quantity. You will have many, many occasions to eat incredible food, and the quality of food on board will be absolutely delightful. Lots of different options. So breakfast and lunch will be served under a buffet format. So there will be many different options offered to you, from meat option to fish, to vegetarians, to different type of bread, cheese, soup. So lots of options for you to choose. If you do have specific diet requirements or restrictions, we definitely are flexible that way. So we invite you to let Rock Jumper know, and we will definitely make sure that we will adjust and make sure that the kitchen and the service staff are aware of your restrictions or specific diets. The only thing that we're unable to do is halal or kosher. Okay, and of course, during the expedition, there will be a lot of free time. So during this free time, like I said, it is a good moment or an opportunity to sit down with the other passengers, to have a drink, or to simply, enjoy the beautiful view that you will have throughout the entire expedition. Now that I've talked a lot about the onboard experience, let's talk a little bit about the off-ship experience. And the off-ship experience always will start with this process that you're looking at right now. So what you're looking at right now is one of the gangway of the Ocean Diamond. And what you're looking at right now is a typical embarkation and disembarkation of the passengers going from the ship to exploring one location in Antarctica. So every landings or Zodiac cruises that we do, we always ask the passengers to come by groups. So every passenger will be assigned to a different group with a different Zodiac, and then we're going to call the groups one by one. And what's beautiful is that we have as many Zodiacs as possible to carry everybody off the ship at the same time. So nobody is waiting a very long time, or everybody is getting off the ship at the same time, experiencing Antarctica at the same time. So we have one Zodiac for every 10 passengers. And as you can see, the gangway is fairly stable. It is definitely a very safe environment. As it was mentioned in a previous webinar in Antarctica, sometimes there is a little bit of wind and the gangway could be moving a little bit, but our expedition team will be there to make sure that you are safely going on board the Zodiac, and they will teach you some of the tips to make sure that you also go on the Zodiac in a very safely way. All right, so this is a very typical scenario here that you will experience during your expedition in Antarctica. And these are the little Zodiacs that are actually very, very comfortable as well. So when we are on the Zodiac, then what we do is we go explore. And of course, our expedition team members are always on the lookout for wildlife opportunities, and also to go as close as possible to icebergs, to allow you to take these incredible pictures that you're going to be bringing back home and to show to your friends and family. So what you're looking at right now is a really great example of what could be a whale watching opportunity. And as you can see here on the Zodiac, what we typically ask people to do is on one side of the Zodiac, people will be kneeling down so that they are stable and they are safe. And then the other group that are sitting on the other side of the zodiac will be standing up so that everybody have that opportunity of taking a really great picture, okay? Typically speaking, also, just to let you know, the expedition guides definitely want you to be as close as possible to the wildlife, but we also have to follow the regulations of IATO, which is the International Association of Antarctic Tour Operators. And so, for example, a whale watching opportunity like this, we have to remain at least 30 meters away from the whale to make sure that it doesn't feel threatened. However, having said that, typically we turn off the engine or we turn it as low as possible. And whales are very curious animal, and they typically get closer to the zodiac, which of course makes the opportunity and the photography experience even more incredible and unique. During your expedition in Antarctica, and I know it was covered in the previous webinar, but I want to bring it and reiterate it again. An expedition in Antarctica, anything can happen. And typically speaking, I always say that an expedition cruise, we can never guarantee our passengers anything. But having said that, if there's one thing I can guarantee you is that you will see a lot of penguins. And you will see different type of penguins, from the Adelies to hopefully chin straps, to hopefully, rock hoppers, macaroni penguins in the Falklands, king penguins in South Georgia as well. You will see tons of different type of penguins, and you will learn about these different type of penguins. So it is going to be an incredible moment for you to learn about these beautiful animals. And again, just like the whales, we want to make sure that you can get as close as possible, but we of course ask you to not touch the animals, of course, and to remain at least 2 meters away from them. They are curious animals as well, so for sure that if you sit down, they will be walking around and get close to you because they're very curious animals as well. So Zodiac Cruising is definitely something that will happen on a regular day and on a regular basis. And the one thing that we're also looking at is we obviously want to get as close as possible to icebergs because there's a lot of things to learn about icebergs. And typically on icebergs, this is where we actually see the leopard seals or any type of other seals that are located in Antarctica, including the fur seals, elephant seals as well, which are typically on the shore of water. So this is a really great example here of a seal picture that has been taken on an Antarctic expedition. And just to show you here a great example of Zodiac cruising around icebergs. Again, we obviously want you to be as close as possible, but of course there's also the safety component to think about. And we of course need to be to a safe distance from the icebergs, because icebergs, they move on the water and sometimes they rotate on themselves, or some pieces of ice break from the iceberg. So we of course have to remain to a certain distance away from the icebergs. But the one thing I'm going to say about Antarctica is that every single day it's going to be an incredible day. Even though sometimes it is a bit cloudy, actually when it is a cloudy day, the blue color of the ice comes out even more. So from a photography perspective, it is definitely a great day as well. But you will have many opportunities to walk around, to see tons of wildlife, different type of wildlife, learn about the history of Shackleton when he first gone to Antarctica, and also to live a once-in-a-lifetime experience with us, Rock Jumper and Quark Expeditions. Thank you.
Fantastic. David, thank you so much for that wonderful insight. Yeah, really appreciate that, coming from a completely different perspective. And yeah, I think a lot of great information for many people who are considering going down to Antarctica and the Arctic. I mean, all the polar regions. So yeah, wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for that. We're going to get stuck into some Q&A shortly with Nikki and David. But before we do, I just wanted to take the opportunity to quickly let you know about next week's webinar. This again will be something a little different and dives into the whole big wide world of insurance. This is travel insurance specifically. So here at Rock Jumper, we certainly know that there's nothing like dreaming about that next trip, doing the research, planning the itinerary, thinking about the wonderful things that you're going to see, etc., and also what you're going to experience along the way. But there's always the nitty-gritty details that also come about when you're planning a big international holiday, and insurance is certainly one of those as well. So next week, we're going to have insurance expert Ushuaia Jansen with us. She's part of the Hollard group, and it's going to be a wonderful opportunity to gain a little more insight into this topic. So if you're keen on that, please join us. She's going to particularly discuss a few items like cancel for any reason insurance, medical emergency, travel delays, cancellation versus curtailment, what insurance can't cover, perils list, T's and C's, when to buy insurance. So yeah, any insurance questions you've got or you might have had in the past, it'll be a good opportunity. You can present those to Ushuaia as well. And yeah, as I say, something a little bit different than what we usually do. Just in case you guys were wondering for our regulars, if this means that our classic dream destination webinars are coming to an end and we're kind of going in a whole different direction, don't be concerned. It's a one-off, and we'll be back the following week with Japan, and that's going to be followed by Argentina as well, and then a bit of South Africa. So yeah, we're going to be traversing a whole bunch of different continents in the coming weeks. So yeah, just so that you're aware of that, and you don't get too concerned that you're going to be missing out on all these great dream destinations. So yeah, just before we get stuck in as well, I also just wanted to mention the Global Birding Weekend, which is taking place on the 17th and 18th of October. Nikki did put something up into the chat over there as well. You can see the link if you would like to sign on. But yeah, if you'd like to do some birding for those days and potentially even win a cruise for 2 on the Flock to Marion trip, pretty exciting trip that's going to Marion, one of the world's great sub-Antarctic islands with BirdLife South Africa and Rock Jumper. Yeah, and by doing so, you're going to help also to contribute towards the fight against the ongoing illegal bird trade with BirdLife International. All you have to do is eBird on the day and sign up onto Team Rock Jumper. And this you can do by entering your name followed by Team Rock Jumper at the link that Nikki provided in the chat. Or else, if you want some more information, you can get in touch with Crystal at info@rockjumper.com. And on that note, yeah, Nikki, take it away. There's a ton of questions. So,
there is.
Yeah.
So we've got so many awesome questions here. And,
yeah.
you know, I'm looking at all this ice and I'm thinking, oh, I could do with some cold here in Mauritius. We're starting to get warm. I had to turn my fan off so that no one can hear it in the background. So, oh, David, you know, some great questions. I'm going to go through them quickly. Do they provide expedition pants?
Yes, so we do have expedition pants or waterproof pants, should I say, into the Polar Boutique, but they are not provided, I would say, included or complimentary. So they would have to be provided or brought by you coming on the expedition. If you don't have access to a store to purchase a waterproof pair of pants, there are some gear shops in Ushuaia, or like I said, there are a few pairs available in the Polar Boutique. But very important item to bring with you when you come on an expedition, simply because when you're on the Zodiac, sometimes the water splashes, and it's just to protect yourself against the cold water.
Yeah, makes sense. What are the chances of resuming snow hill expeditions?
That's a great question. We all want to resume as soon as possible. Snow Hill is definitely one of those very unique destinations. The last time we operated a Snow Hill expedition was 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, with the icebreaker Captain Klepnikov. It is a very, you know, it's a very interesting destination. And for us, what is important is that when we go to Snow Hill, we want to make sure that we maximize as possible the opportunity to see the emperor penguins. And unfortunately, right now, the icebreaker is not available to be used for Antarctica, but I know that Quark is definitely looking at other alternatives. So as soon as we will know, we will definitely share that with Rug Jumper and yourself. Yeah.
Is there a doctor and some form of medical staff on board? You might have
Yes,
mentioned
that's
it
a great
earlier.
question. A great reminder that I should have talked about. We do have a doctor available 24-hour during the entire expedition. So we do have a clinic on board where we will have some medical equipment available for the doctor to use. And the doctor, like I said, will have available some medicine available as well. So if you're not feeling well, the doctor will be available for you. If you do have some medicine that needs to be taken during your expedition, the doctor will definitely need to be aware of that, just in case something happens. But yes, the doctor will be there to assist you.
Ricky actually asked a great question, because we were talking about this earlier just before we went live, and Ricky says, what steps do you take to minimize carbon footprint, environmental care, etc.? And we were just talking about your sustainability involvement. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so when we look at our voyages, the first thing that we look at to minimize the carbon footprint is to look at the different vessels and the type of fuel that we use. So right now we use fuel that is called MGO, which is the most, I would say, less carbon footprint type of fuel that can be used in the polar regions. But slowly what we're doing also is, because we're modernizing our fleet to make them even more sustainable and contributing to preserving the Antarctic environment or Arctic environment as much as possible. I mean, Antarctica, Quark Expeditions, sorry, we have, sustainability has been part of our DNA since the very beginning. As I was mentioning to Nikki and Keith, you know, we have co-founded IATO as well. We have a community engagement program where we provide funds and enthusiasm and learning opportunities for the communities in the Arctic to share their passion about their own culture. We also do auctions on board every voyages in Antarctica or in the Arctic, which all the money that we gather is provided or given back to charities or organizations that are either, you know, providing some support to the development of scientific research of the polar regions, or to protect the environment. So we do have several tactics in place, but we're also constantly looking at new ways to become more and more sustainable. And just to talk about it very, very quickly, we do now have a new waste management system called MAGS for some of our other vessels that are more modern. And this MAGS system is allowing us to reduce our waste by 90%, which is huge in the current times. So now when we operate a trip in either the Arctic or in Antarctica, by using these new waste management systems, we reduced our waste by 90%. So that means that we bring 90% less waste to the port cities when we finish our expeditions.
Amazing. The next question is very much around capacity. So, you know, Catherine is saying, what is the capacity of the lecture theatres versus the number of passengers on the ship? And then maybe we can start off with the number of passengers and the amount of people that can go onto a shore at a time. What happens with the rest of the passengers that don't go on shore?
That's a really great question. So first of all, the Ocean Diamond is a capacity of 199 passengers, which actually can all fit all together the lecture theater room. So everybody can go in the lecture theater room at the same time. Nobody needs to reserve a seat or whatnot. So everybody can come at the lectures at the same time. When it comes to the operational side with the landings, there is indeed a rule that states that only 100 people can go at a landing at once. So how we operate that Quark Expeditions is that, as I mentioned previously, we have a lot of Zodiacs available to deploy everybody outside of the ship at the same time. So what we do is we use half of the Zodiacs to bring people at the shore. So we have about 100 people at shore. And during that same time, the other half of the ship will be Zodiac Cruising. So they will be going around the icebergs. They will be looking out for marine wildlife. And then after 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour, the two groups will switch. So the people who were on the Zodiacs will go on land, and whoever was on land will go on the Zodiac. Some people sometimes they want to go from land back to the ship. They're not really interested to go on the Zodiac cruise. Or sometimes people, they just want to stay on the ship as well. You don't have to go on every landings that we offer. If you prefer to stay on board, then it's completely fine. As long as the expedition staff knows, it's totally okay. But this is basically the way we operate. And this is for the primary reason to make sure that everybody gets off of the ship at the same time and experience as much as possible Antarctica.
Oh, that's brilliant. Is there a parka? Okay, so do you get to keep your parka that you are given?
Absolutely.
Oh,
so this
awesome.
yellow jacket that you're looking at right now, this is a parka that is being given to you. And what's great about the parka is that there is a liner inside that you can unzip. So if it's not that cold, you can unzip the liner and just wear the liner, which is also very comfortable.
Oh, brilliant. And are there days when you, Sylvia's asking, are there any days when you cannot leave the ship? You know, how long does it take the ship to cross the Drake Passage? Or I love how my colleague described it as the Drake Shake.
Yes, so there are going to be 3 crossings during your expedition in Antarctica. So from Ushuaia to the Falklands, which usually lasts about 1.5 days. So the Ocean Diamond, what is great about the ship is that it's a very fast ship. So a little bit faster than the rest of the other ships out there. Yeah. So we typically navigate at around 15.5 knots. And so we will cross from Ushuaia to the Falklands in 1.5 days. So obviously when we're navigating on open water, we ask people, well, people have to remain on the ship. And depending on the water condition, if it's very wakey, then we typically ask people to remain inside the ship for safety reasons. But once you're at destination, once we're in the Falklands or once we're in South Georgia or in Antarctica, our goal is to get out of the ship as much as possible. So you will not stay on the ship, or the only times that you will be on the ship, it will be when the ship is traveling from point A to point B, because we want to show you as many different places as possible. But during the entire expedition, you will have access, like I said, to the deck outside. So if you want to go walk around the ship outside, you're definitely more than welcome to. If you want to take pictures or if you want to go on the bridge, there's definitely a lot of flexibility.
Oh, that's great. Michael's saying, what are the usual tipping guidelines for ship staff and guides?
What are the different, sorry, what?
Tipping guidelines. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So in regards to tipping, I mean, it is obviously at everyone's discretion. What we want, or what we recommend, is typically between $15 to $20 a day per passenger. So that's our recommendation. If you want to give more, you're definitely more than welcome to. And our expedition staff obviously really appreciate that. They work very hard to make sure that your experience is as incredible as it should be.
Oh, I love Tristan. He says, "Bonjour, David, a fellow from a fellow Montreal graduate. The question he has: how can I survive the Drake Passage as someone who gets really seasick? I can't wait to be on board in 2021." From Tristan.
Fantastic. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you as well on board the Ocean Diamond. You know, my opinion of the Drake is that it's really not as bad as people talk about. You know, the Ocean Diamond being a larger vessel with stabilizers, it will make the crossing of the Drake a lot easier than back in the days when we used to operate older Russian icebreakers that were 60 or 80 passengers capacity. So please don't be afraid of the Drake Passage. However, if you are very sensitive to the motion of the ship, there are two suggestions that I would recommend to you. The first one is bring with you some seasickness medicine. There are some patches out there or pills that are definitely available for you to get. Bear in mind that if you don't bring any with you and you end up feeling a little bit nauseous during the crossing, our doctor will have access to some supply as well. So don't worry, our doctor will be there to assist you if you don't feel so well. If you are like me and you're not so keen on taking any sort of medicine and you like to go the natural way, actually, believe it or not, but ginger is a really good natural medicine against seasickness. So we will have these ginger candies available at the bar or at the restaurant that you can also take. And speaking from experience, they work very, very well.
Oh, wow. Any tips on photography and how to take care of gear?
Yeah, so we highly recommend, if you are bringing photography gear with you, to bring a dry bag. So those are bags that you can roll and they're like waterproof. So if you are, a photographer and you want to make sure that you bring your gear with you on the Zodiacs to go on land, please make sure that you bring a dry bag so that you can put your camera inside a dry bag or any other accessories that you want to bring that are sensitive to the water. What's great is that on our expeditions, we always have also a photographer specialist. And during the expedition, he will do a few workshops on how to take or how to maximize your photography experience in Antarctica. So if you need any assistance on the exposure, for example, or on how to use a camera or on any other filters, the professional photographer will be there to assist you.
Oh, brilliant. Kathleen, we also have a couple of good photographers as well with our guides, and we have Oryx Photo Tours, that is a sister company. They have a few guests that will be also joining us. So though we've already got quite a big chunk of rock jumper, there's about 6 keen photographers that are going to be there as well. Kathleen says, if we arrive in Ushuaia several days prior to official arrival date, will Quark provide airport pickup and transport to a hotel?
If you arrive earlier?
Yeah.
We can arrange that. This is something that we can definitely arrange for you. So if you are planning to arrive a day or two earlier and you would like to be picked up, we can arrange that. To be honest with you, Ushuaia is a very small town. The airport is very close to the main, I would say, square. And from a cost perspective, we're talking about $5 to $10 taxi ride. So it is fairly safe as well to use the taxis in Ushuaia. But if you want to use a private transfer, we can definitely organize that for you.
That's brilliant. And Rock Jumper can also assist. Wow. Okay, dry bag we've answered. Is there accommodation for single travelers?
We do have single cabins available on the Ocean Diamond. This is probably something that would have to be discussed with Rock Jumper if you want to book a single cabin. But yes, we do have single cabins on the Ocean Diamond. We also have single cabins on other vessels. What's great also is that if you don't want to pay a little bit more money because it's a single cabin occupancy, but you are a single traveler and you don't have anybody who would like to join you on this incredible journey, we also have a share program available. So for some of our twin occupancy cabins, we do offer the opportunity to buy just one bed, and we would take the responsibility to resell the other bed. And if we are not able to, then you would have your own cabin for yourself at no extra costs. But this is something that you would probably have to discuss with Rock Jumper.
Deborah's saying, is there a mini fridge in the cabin? This is for keeping medicine that is that requires refrigeration.
Absolutely. So in every cabin, we have a mini fridge that you can put your medicine. Absolutely.
And Stephanie says, is there a local iPhone SIM card that can be purchased to enable live FaceTime with family during any part of the trip?
Yes, so when you land in Ushuaia, there are some stores in the main square that you can purchase a local SIM card that you will be able to use in Antarctica. However, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that the local Argentinian SIM card, once they're used in Antarctica, will be considered as local because you are in international territory. So before you do so, please make sure you look with your cell phone provider to see how much it would cost. Because the cost could be really, really high.
Yeah. How much time can be spent on land on a typical day?
Typically, we look at about an hour and a half. If, you know, like I explained earlier, when we do the switch over from land to Zodiac Cruising, and you know, you're at the landing that you're not necessarily interested to go Zodiac Cruising and you prefer staying on land, there's also no problem at all. We can definitely, you know, make sure that you stay on land. So like I said, we are very flexible that way. But typically speaking, we look at an hour and a half spending time at the landing.
Oh, great. You might have answered this earlier on, but I can't remember. How many can eat dinner at the same time? Are there multiple sittings?
Yes, so the restaurant, or the two restaurants, because we have two restaurants on the Ocean Diamond, they can actually accommodate everybody at the same time. So you don't need to make any reservations. However, if there is a table that you really love, maybe because it's next to a window or because it's a big table and you like to eat with the same people throughout the trip, our restaurant manager can definitely help you with that, and they'll make sure that they can accommodate your request as much as possible.
Sure. Let's see. John here says, will there be a rock jumper or quark guide available on deck to help identify pelagic birds and mammals? And if so, when during the day? And that's definitely, I mean, we were just saying what the ratio is on the cruise. It's going to be quite a big.
Absolutely. So from the Quark Expedition side, we're going to have one expedition guide for every 7 passengers. And that's on top of the guides that Rock Jumper will provide as well. So there will be a lot of expedition guides on this departure, and many of them will definitely be on deck. Just to give you an idea, we have expedition team working around the clock who, you know, are on the bridge at nighttime or are on the bridge very early in the morning, always looking for wildlife. So if you are an early bird, and no pun intended here, and you want to go on the bridge and see the expedition team member looking out for wildlife, you are more than welcome to do so. But to answer your question, yes, they will be outside on the deck. They will be on the bow. They are even eating with you during meals. So they are constantly with you, sharing this very powerful experience.
Oh, brilliant. Ricky saying, for the faint of heart, how often do you encounter rough weather in the crossing?
So it's a really, it's a 50-50 chance. Honestly, it's there's no statistics or consistent statistics that shows that either November is a bad time for the Drake Passage, or X% of chances that the Drake will be, you know, a little bit rougher than usual. So the thing about the Drake Passage is that it is one of the deepest sea in the world, because this is where the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean meets. The thing is, it is one of the area where there's a lot of wind as well. So that's why, you know, the Drake could be a little bit more rougher than any other seas. But, you know, it's a really 50-50 chance. But like I said previously, please don't be afraid. The Ocean Diamond is a larger vessel. It has stabilizers, and, you know, it will make the crossing a lot easier than in the past.
Oh, great. Catherine is asking, is it possible to get a GPS ship track, or if we want that, should we bring our own GPS?
There will be one on the bridge. So on every ship that we operate, we have a GPS ship tracker that you will have access to. So you don't have to bring your own.
Awesome. And I think we're getting very close now to the end of our webinar. Sure. Kathleen is asking, does Quark provide spotting scopes for general passenger use?
Yes, we do. We usually have between 4 or 5, and we also provide binoculars for those who have left the binoculars behind or forgot to bring them or don't have any. So we do provide both, correct.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. I couldn't get to all the questions. There were so many tonight, but thank you very, very much. We really appreciate everything. Thank you, David.
It's
Very
really
informative.
my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic, David. Thank you so much, Nikki, as well. Excellent Q&A. Thanks to all of you who stayed on as well, and for all your questions too. Folks, if your questions weren't answered during the chat and you would like answers to them, please do send them to our office. Just send them through to info@rockjumper.com and we'll get back to you with an answer as well. All right. But yeah, thanks very much again, David, for taking the time, and that was an excellent presentation. Really enjoyed it.
My pleasure. And hope to see you soon in Antarctica.
From all of us at the Rock Jumper team, enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank
Bye.
you.